Bada boom! Realest guys in the room.
We are back with another bracket contest. Marcus Fenix, Gears of War 3 versus Master Chief,
Halo
3.
The battle of the Xbox 360.
Now,
Finish
if
the
you
fights.
did watch the seating video, you will know that Rocky Rodent was originally in the spot, but Sean was both, so we swapped him out for Master Chief versus Marcus Fenix.
So that Sean doesn't have to argue against himself.
Right. It's not one of those days.
We might get there still, though. Sweet Tooth and Bayonetta moved on.
And
So
if Marcus is, then it's immediately in the next round.
So, last round recap, Bayonetta narrowly avoided Wario. A very close fight. Very weird. This round, we have a much different battle. We've got two gunfighters. One that was previously arrested, one that was
Previously arrested. The arrestor.
Yeah, you know what? Whatever he says.
One of them has Arrested Development.
All I know is Marcus Fenix was previously arrested.
This is the story of how one soldier got thrown into a battlefield and he had to figure out a way to survive it all. It's Arrested Development.
You talking about love?
Yes.
Yes.
Love is a battlefield. All right. So, Sean, since you are the higher seed, do you want to go first or second? Remember, this is not Wario with his farting. This is a different opponent.
That's Marcus Fenix with his farting, evidently.
I think I'm gonna go the Bender move, and I'm gonna go second.
Alright.
Tell us about the Chief.
Tell us about the Chief. Hail to the Chief. Who doesn't know about Master Chief? Master Chief is the icon. You should put your hand down, you liar.
You're still over. You made it 100% for like 10 minutes now.
No.
Sorry.
I don't know. Master Chief, flagship Spartan. He's what, 1,000 pounds, 7.5 feet tall, some shit. He's got armor grafted onto his bones, a la Wolverine. He's got armor. He's got energy shields. He's got weapons proficiency. He's got tactical experience. He's got vehicle experience with terrestrial and space vehicles. He's got leadership and solo experience. He's got, I don't know if we're including Cortana in this as a sidekick, but he's got data access. He's got map loadouts.
That's right.
Halo 3, Master Chief doesn't get Cortana until the end. And
You know what?
Then,
I'm going to argue he doesn't need Cortana for a fight against Marcus Fenix.
Yeah, she doesn't do much for battles, so I'll give you that.
He's big. He's strong. He's artificially enhanced human. He's big. He's strong. He's fast. He's got. I'm not going to say super sci-fi weapons, but he's got advanced weapons and he knows how to use them. Marcus Fenix is, for all intents and purposes, kind of just a guy with some pretty bulky armor and some weapons that I don't think outclass Master Chief's weapons.
So, real quick, earlier we came to agreement that he was using the Lancer, the Gnasher, and the Snub.
An
The
incendiary grenade.
it's the default loadout.
Mm-hmm.
What
What is
the
Master
loadout?
Chief's loadout? You get his 2 guns and grenade. We'll give you 2 guns, 2 grenade sets, because that's what he gets.
Yeah, I'm gonna. So
And there are 4 sets of grenades in that game, so...
I'm gonna say for grenades, 2 standard grenades and 2 plasma grenades.
Okay.
For guns, I'm gonna say 1 battle rifle.
Good
And-
call.
Right. For the other one, gosh, I don't know. It could almost be anything. I can see it in my mind, but I don't know the name of it.
Describe it.
What's the Covenant equivalent of the battle rifle? That's kind of got like
The carbine?
Covenant Carbine would be the equivalent.
Hey, look at that. Here's something, guys.
All right, good job. High five.
High five.
So I'm gonna say that's his loadout. Great, nice balance of terrestrial and energy weapons.
Now, what equipment? Like, does he have any
Equipment.
special equipment like the bubble shield, the energy drop shield, the flare, the...
Refresh my memory. How much of that can you have at once?
He picks up only one. He can only have one at a time.
Only one.
And they're picked up on the field. So that's why I'm saying if he's coming loaded out, he's getting one choice. And once it's done, it's...
I'm gonna say he's got a bubble shield. I feel like that's gonna be the most.
Okay, so he's got one bubble shield and it's done when it's gone. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And if you want, we can even throw in like a warthog on the field that either character can use.
Okay, he's got battle
Are you looking at me
rifle.
like that?
You're trusting, in that case, the Master Chief is faster than Marcus Fenix.
I am.
He was a man in prison. Prisoners just work out 24/7.
Marcus Fenix put guys in prison. Also, prison tends not to improve your cardio so much as your weightlifting.
Have you ever been to prison?
I've not, thankfully.
You want me to call my brother and find out?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Moving on. Do you have anything else? Oh, no, it's question time, isn't it? Are you done?
I'm done.
Is it? Okay.
My only
So-
thing I will add is that Master Chief has full body armor compared to Marcus's more selective armor.
You are fucking lucky. that was a point you specifically brought up. So, going into a one-on-one fight, what is Master Chief spending his time preparing for? Like, do you see him before the fight? Do you see him as being the guy, like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to end it quickly? Do you see him being more defensive, or do you see him playing off of Marcus? Like, he knows he's going into a battle. What is he doing? What is his strategy?
I mean, does he know about anything about Marcus before he goes into the fight?
He knows his name is Marcus.
But like, does he know he's just a man?
Sure.
And he's not like okay.
We'll give you that.
Yeah. I mean, I assume he's just going to treat him like the equivalent of like an ODST soldier or something, and just kind of prepare to take him down from a distance with a battle rifle.
I do have a second question. Do you have any questions first, though?
I got the equipment layout. That's my bigger piece.
So,
I just mean, he's going to know he's an experienced soldier and to keep his distance, keep cover, but that's standard for Master Chief.
Sean hasn't jumped in yet, but since I only get to ask you questions once, I'm going to ask it now. We've established he has a Lancer.
Okay.
There is a chainsaw on that Lancer.
Mm-hmm.
What is Master Chief doing if this becomes a close quarters combat fight?
I think he's relying on his
I want to hear things.
armor.
I need to hear.
Master Chief is going to rely on his various levels of armor to keep the chainsaw out. He's got an energy. He's got an overshield energy barrier, and then he's got actual hard armor, which I think is more than enough to stop the chainsaw.
I will put this forward.
If it's meant to stop bullets.
The chainsaw is seen as an assassination weapon in Gears, and there are assassinations in the Halo universe. Simply a strike to the back, even though you're fully shielded and fully armored, takes you down. So assassinations do exist. So I would say, for sake of argument, that the chainsaw, if at close range, would be the equivalent of that for Chief.
That's a good
We're talking
point.
one-hit kill.
That's a good point. I'll grant that. I'll suggest that on a one-on-one fight, it's going to be all but impossible to get such a jump on Master Chief.
Sure.
Especially with an assassination weapon that makes a revving noise.
That's kind of true on that one. I never thought about that. The chainsaw does.
No, I'll give you that.
Whoever dies from the chainsaw from behind is a fucking moron and
Right.
deaf. And I'm sorry if you can't read. You can't hear me if you're deaf anyway. God damn it. Let's do it after you get down. You better bleep out a whole fucking section of this goddamn video.
I'm just gonna cut you out.
Yeah, just get that out of there. But that is true. So the other question I have, though.
Yes.
Can Master Chief make sure this does not become a close combat fight? Because he also has the Gnasher, which in Gears, which we have found out from our arena battles and wave battles, if you are within, I would say 2 feet, 3 feet of the Gnasher, you are dead.
You are bisected.
I don't think he can guarantee that it doesn't become close quarters. No.
Okay.
I'm imagining it starting off as distant and then slowly closing quarters unless it ends before it gets that close.
Because I might, right now I'm not convinced obviously, either way, I might not give the Gnasher a one-hit kill on the Chief because of his armor, but it is something to take into consideration if he cannot finish Marcus off from a distance.
I would say that I would think that the Masher at a close distance would completely wipe out the bubble shield, though.
Oh, for sure. The shield, the bubble shield is gone. I would even almost argue Chief's overshield probably gone, but it is not a one-hit kill.
No, not with a bubble shield.
I will argue against the bubble shield thing only because we see in game the bubble shield is not limited to the number of shots it takes.
Oh, it's time, isn't it?
It's timed. It's about 30 seconds of shield, and if you get inside of the shield, it only stops projectiles. But if you get in, you can destroy the deployed mechanism to get rid of the shield. But it repels all kind of projectiles.
So, just from my own knowledge, too, in the bubble shield, if both people enter, they can both shoot each other, right?
Yes.
Right. So if he got it with the Masher, you can still just fucking tee off of it. Okay. So, Sean, you may go.
Alright. So, obviously,
Hi.
Marcus Fenix.
Did you
We're
finish your
talking
ball?
about Gears 3, Marcus. So this is a man who, with a 4-man team, has stopped not 1, not 2, but 3 alien invasions with a 4-man team. Obviously, I know Master Chief's, I know his resume, and I know that he does this as a single man. You would argue,
6
though,
times.
that a man that is, doing this with a team not only has leadership skills, but strategic leadership skills. I know that Master Chief is literally, a super soldier, but I feel like tactically Marcus is going to have the battlefield experience and better generalship in this fight. So I feel like he would be able to see any surprise attacks coming. He would be able to look at the battlefield and know what to expect. Obviously, as we said, the weapons that Marcus is using are your stereotypical Gears weapons.
I have one question about that real quick. How many grenades?
I think in Gears 3 it was it 3 or was it 4?
I don't remember that.
I think it was 4 because in Gears 3, I think you only get 1 grenade type.
Yeah. You only get 1 grenade type.
It wasn't-
I thought it was 3
yeah.
or 4. Yeah.
Okay.
So, obviously, with Marcus, we know his strength, and with his executions in-game, this man is able to stomp someone's head into mush in a single stomp. This man can, use the chainsaw to, like we said, literally cut someone in half. And this includes people that are armored, as we have seen that the chainsaw and the lancer will cut directly through a person, including through their armor. I feel like Marcus will close the gap on any distance, and once it gets down to, melee attacks, especially with the weapons loadout that each character has, I feel like having that chainsaw is going to give Marcus the advantage in this fight.
I'm going to argue that it's not going to
Hey, it's not argument time yet.
Well, alright, fine.
My only question was the number of grenades, so I got no questions left. I more or less, I have some specific pieces for rebuttal that I would like to get to, but I want to hear all thoughts first.
So, in Halo 3, Master Chief cannot sprint. This is a question for Sean, by the way, so don't you keep your mouth shut. Yeah, exactly. So Master Chief cannot sprint. Marcus can, but he cannot shoot while he is sprinting. He can only shoot at normal speed.
Correct.
Sprinting, he is fast. How could he close the gap in order to do the chainsaw? While being, I guess, essentially peppered.
So, one thing I will say about Marcus, especially in Gears 3, one of the things that they implemented in that game was the duck and cover.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of his movements, especially when you duck to cover, he is dodging out of the way of attacks. So he is doing, not only is he sprinting, but he is sprinting into rolls into cover. I feel like that's going to give him improved mobility. I'm not aware of Halo 3 if there's any kind of ducking. I know there's obviously jumping, but I'm not aware of any, dodging or
There is
evasive.
ducking. There's no sliding yet in that game.
Yeah. There's crouching and cover, but there's not.
Do you have any other question? All right, Joe. What is your rebuttal?
My rebuttal is that Marcus has no head armor, man. Like, he's going to be running at Chief, and Chief's just going to be taking pot shots at his head from a distance, and he's more than likely going to get one into him before he can get close enough to make a difference.
The question before Joe continues. Are we counting Halo multiplayer into this at all? Only because in Halo multiplayer, if you get a headshot with nearly any gun, the other person's dead. And everyone in that is wearing Spartan armor.
Well, even in the campaign on Legendary Edition, or on Legendary mode, you get headshot.
Alright. Continue. But that is a valid point.
I mean, yeah, there's that. Chief has plasma grenades that he can maybe stick to Marcus while he's moving around cover and stuff.
As someone who that's their preferred way to kill in Halo, let me tell you, it's not
You
easy.
son
No,
of a bitch.
no.
That's not easy.
I'm assuming Chief is going to be better at playing Chief than I am. So.
That is true. Joe kind of sucks. No offense, but,
Now, I guess I do have a question. Are we really going to allow one Warthog on the field?
So I would say no.
Okay.
Only because Gears 3, I don't think, has that mechanic. Does it?
I don't have
We've
been a while
seen,
since
we've
I played
seen
it.
drive things in
I was gonna
cutscenes,
say
but we
in
never...
cutscenes, especially Dom, but
Gears 2, they drove the tank thing.
right. But there's no actual mobility for players, so it's in world, but
You'd have to look at it retroactively. Like, they're able to do it in 2, so they
Right.
would, in theory, be able to do it in 3.
I don't know how to judge it.
That's
What do you
right.
think?
So we can drop the Warthog, but I want to hear Sean's rebuttal because I have a very one point that I think makes the difference here, and I just want to hear it.
so one thing I would say is that in game,
You can let them in.
obviously, even though he has more uncovered skin, I would argue that the damage that people take in game is similar to that of Halo 3. So even if he does not have his skin covered, he's got that bikini girl armor, where even though his skin is exposed, he has the same amount of covering on him. I would also say that using that same logic, I do feel like my close range is going to be what gets me, especially incendiary grenades with the fire. We've seen that kills people with armor in game in Gears of War 3, and I feel like the additional 2 incendiary grenades will be more effective than the 2 plasma grenades.
I want to hear your point.
In Halo, there's no bonuses for reloading or anything else.
No.
But in Gears, there's the active reload.
That is true.
And a perfect reload, it is quicker, but it also increases the power of the weapon
That's true.
for that entire magazine until it's out. Or until it's reloaded again. So I'm saying that that's one way that he does have that advantage, is that there is that possibility that, simply put, Marcus can do more damage per bullet if perfectly reloaded. And considering that's a mechanic of the series that doesn't happen for Halo, even if it's not every time, his bullets are going to do more damage in general.
And as we said, ideally, if this is Marcus doing this and he has the ability to perfect reload, we're going to assume that more often than not, these are perfect reloads.
Yeah.
If Chief gets to be a better Chief than Joe, then I assume Marcus can be a better Marcus than you.
Right.
So,
Does
my last thing on this is a conversation that comes back to the finals of last one. What's ammo look like?
So we know, battle rifle is one of the smaller ammo capacities, but it is like a 20-shot clip? 15?
yeah, something?
It's a
like
it's a
tri-blast,
three-burst.
yeah.
So, when we think about that, my thing is here. I have played a lot of Gears. I have played a lot of Halo.
I'm in the same boat.
When I am in Gears, I die a lot quicker. And I think it's because there's no real health bar or shield bar. It's just the red circle. Like, you start taking damage and you're instantly nearing death with Gears. In Halo, because 3 still had the shield, right?
Yep.
It was 4 where they started taking away, like, the shield bar.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure I was right on that to make sure. In Halo, you can lose your shield bar, and then you start losing health.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you lose the health, you're dead. In Gears, first bullet hits you, you start dying.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that has me on a hang-up right now, is who can die quicker. 'Cause Marcus can...
This is the argument I've been making half the time, is Marcus is inherently more vulnerable. He's got less armor overall. He has no energy armor on top of his physical armor.
Because he can dodge. He can roll.
Mm-hmm.
But he has no attack while dodging, rolling, or sprinting.
And he can still receive damage while doing that.
He could. So he would have to, like, stop and attack, and Master Chief could attack him. Why are you afraid of the tripod? Master Chief could attack him during that period. Marcus could continue doing his bullshit. Master Chief could attack. But if Marcus can get close enough without dying, he's got the clear advantage because Master Chief has no real melee.
I would say, too, if this
And
comes
Master
down...
Chief does have melee, but it's not on par with yours.
It's a bash.
Right, which Marcus can do with any single weapon.
Yeah.
I would say that when it comes down to it, I think that even if both run out of ammo, Marcus still has the chainsaw.
Yep. I'm also going to throw out one other thing in Marcus's favor. The grenades in Gears can be attached to walls and enemies and act as mines.
Plasma's going to be
Not
attached to
grenades.
people.
All the grenades in Halo are on a timer, whether they hit something or not.
Right.
But the fact that you can set a grenade on a wall and then when something comes by it just becomes a mine.
Yeah.
It's not one that you can trip, but it's a trip mine. It's sensor activated. So I'm saying realistically, I could see Marcus setting up the incendiary grenades in kind of like a catch pattern, trying to catch the Chief. I could see that as a legitimate option.
I feel like Chief is, if it's one-on-one, I feel like Chief is going to see him do that, though. And
Is he?
it depends on the map, you know? Like, if it's a map where they don't see each other constantly, then yeah, that's possible.
That's my piece on that. Just thinking about the logic of each character in that game.
I've got nothing else.
Voting is tough on this one. Each one has a path to victory, but neither is clear. Chief's best weapon, in my opinion, in the loadout you gave him, is the carbine.
That was a question I was going to ask. Does anybody think the energy weapons, the carbine he has, or even the plasma grenades, are going to cut through Marcus's armor more effectively?
I wasn't
than
thinking of
bullets?
that. I was just thinking, I know how quickly a battle rifle clip runs out.
But the carbine, you can make it last longer.
Yeah.
Because it's a single shot versus a tri-shot.
But it's also got some good range on it, you know? Like, I was going for
it's
mid-range
substantial,
stuff,
yeah.
so...
This is that fun.
In a straight range match, Master Chief. But if that range is gone, it's Marcus for me.
And the thing is, Chief has, in Halo 3, Chief has no agility or dodge ability.
No. No sprint, no nothing. It's just...
He can duck, but there's no slide, there's no nothing.
There's no dodge, dip, or dive.
No, not like Wario can, you fucking asshole.
Let me know when Warrior's got a weapon that's not gas.
Never. So I
He
think...
doesn't need one.
I think I will have to give a vote for Chief. Based on the armor, giving him a smidge even longer survivability. The carbine gives him an extra long-range weapon that he doesn't have to reload as often. And I know we kept going back to the plasma grenades. I kept going back to the frag grenades in that they have such a big radius of exploding. Plasma are definitely more targeted. They can't stick to anything but people. But the frag grenades, if he could get a grenade planted within distance of Marcus, that would at least do enough damage to throw him off, where he could finish him off. But I think that armor, giving him a hair bit longer to take gunfire, I think aids him.
I have to concur with Andrew, simply because
If Marcus could fire while sprinting...
Your health comment is what did it for me. Is that Marcus takes health damage immediately, Chief takes shield damage, then health.
Right.
So I think the fact that, despite the fact that Marcus can regenerate health over time of not being shot, Chief recovers shields over time, and that's, yeah, the health can come back, but there's no shields to stop it. It's easier to go down. So I think I have to give it to Chief just simply because of that.
If Marcus could fire while sprinting, I probably would have voted for him, because Chief can't fucking sprint. But the fact when Marcus sprints, or dodges, or rolls, that's it.
So Master Chief is the
Master
winner.
Chief.
We'll give it to Chiefy.
Thank you.
Which, we have our first second round matchup confirmed of Bayonetta versus Chief. These two are going at it again. Let's go.
Jesus Christ.
You're not pumped? You get to go against this shit again. Let's do it. Come back next time for Lanky Kong versus Kratos. I don't give a shit back. Let's do that.
Rocky, man. It's Rocky Rodent versus King K. Rool.
Fuck that shit. We are skipping ahead. No, I'm kidding. We're going Rocky Rodent versus King K. Rool. I have another round to figure out how Lanky Kong can possibly beat Kratos.
Possibly. I think it's confirmed.
Come back, people. Let's check it out. Master Chief just won a nail biter, and Joe's not even celebrating. Joe, 2 of your characters have moved on. Last year you were done within the first 6 matches.
I know, this is great.
Celebrate! Throw a piece of paper. Hey, those are my Super Bowl bets. Don't crinkle those up, though. What are you doing?